Hello everyone, we got another war for Loki versus PBT. This is war number 10, and let's get started. I am on path 5-5 again with a few minis, and I have Captain America, White Nito, and Omega Sentinel, and I have this Dragon Man to start. And I debated whether or not using a pre-fight with White Nito here, but we counted them all up and I could afford it, so the plan is just to parry heavy. This is just a great spot to use Captain America because his heavy hits so hard, so when you get the Fury, it just does a ton of damage. And here I'm just trying to bait his special one, and I'm going to take it all on the block and get that ineptitude right there. That was perfectly timed. And when a Dragon Man throws his that was a lag right there in the actual fight that happened, but those are annoying. They're happening more and more. But when Dragon Man throws his specials, he's not a bad fight. So here are the protections up. I have 5 kinetic charges, and I throw that special thinking that it's up because my own Fury kind of confused me with it, and otherwise he would be dead. So at this point, I'm like, okay, take all this in the block. Glancing just helps. He's got great block proficiency, and at this point I'm like, okay, let's just kind of chip him down. He's at 11%. I really need him to throw the special, and he does. And I just block that because I don't want any MD from a Dex, and he is dead. Pretty straightforward. Next up, I have a Hit Monkey. I've died to this exact same fight, and but now I have a plan. I should have thought about this before, but I usually X this, and it's just perfectly fine with a White Nito, and it's just easy peasy. But obviously, he has an evade off of a knockdown. But if I use a White Nito, he can't shrug my parry. So the thought is to build some power with some combos. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I build a little bit of power, then I knock him down. And I do a parry hit, and I bait that SB1. I'm like, okay, senses are off, and I have my Fury. So building more power. I want to build to an SB2. And at this point, I'm like, okay. I'm like, let me just bait this SB1. And I don't want to get in my corner, so I quickly go at him to push him back, and he throws a special one finally, and I'm like, alright, so I'm gonna heavy him now, and I'm gonna drop my my SB2, and he's dead. So that's what I should have done before. Now this fight, I was supposed to bring infamous Iron Doom, or Iron Man, so Tech Doom, but we're debating on a different fight or not, and we decided on Tech Doom. I actually was pushing for Tech Doom because I wanted him for a kitty fight later. And then I bring Omega Sentinel on accident, and I'm like, great. He builds prowess naturally with the nodes. So I need to, basically, I don't want to heavy him because then it gives him more prowess. So at this point, I'm like, okay, if I lose my armor up right there because he actually hit me, but I auto-blocked it. So I'm like, okay. I just need to basically see where I'm doing damage while I have my Fury up. And he throws an SB1, so I want to get away from him for the incinerates at this point. And I'm like, that's also not what I want to happen. This fight is not going well at all, and I just obviously fought more scared than confident. And that's never a good thing. So here I see that I am doing some work, right? There's a minute that's left, and he's almost half down, so I'm like, okay, take this SB2 into the block as long as he doesn't have a lot of prowess, and it doesn't do that much damage. So I'm like, okay, I need to knock him down to start doing some work here. Need to get a parry, and finally here I start doing some damage, but I eat that, and I'm like, and so I'm like, okay, I need to take another special into my block, but he is actually getting down. So one more special, and I take another another missed parry. I'm like, you know what, knock him down, but do a my SB3, and that should kill him either way. So I was just happy to get out of that fight, to be honest with you. It wasn't... Tech Doom would have just absolutely rinsed this, and it's just upsetting that I didn't bring him. Next up, I have America Chavez on the Power Snack. So the plan here is basically just try not to dex. So I don't trigger the Power Snack. So I'm just gonna heavy, and the Petrify will help with the Power Snack anyway. So that's where Cap Sig kind of comes into play here. And she throws her special quickly. I'm gonna block everything, so I don't want MD, or not MD, Power Snack really. So I'm like, okay, perfect, everything's going well. And I like her in her corner because she throws her specials usually right after. Everything's going well. Here I dex, I give her power. I'm like, I only had one Petrify up, so it didn't really mitigate it that much. Now I'm in good shape, and I'm like, okay, throw that special, and I'm like, what do? I don't want to push her to 2 bars. And of course I don't get a crit on the heavy. And I'm like, you know what? Now she's at 2 bars. I have an indestructible, so I glance some of it and I take it to the face, but I'm like, alright. I missed the heavy, so everything starts going down. I'm like, throw this special too and get out of here. Like, everything just started going south there. Now I have a Mcoc on Ebb and Flow Intercept. I'm going to take it with White Nito, and the plan is just to get an intercept and it'll shut off the node. So the fight starts, and I'm like, okay, I'm a heavy, and I'm like, it's hard to intercept with while he's stunned and go back. So I'm like, you know what? I get that intercept there, and now I'm good to go. The protection's gone. I see that I'm doing damage. Dex's SB1s, and just kind of get out of the way. I don't have a White Nito pre-fight placed here because I want to gain, I want to save it, and I want to gain 1 for my Sig, 1 for the win, 1 for the medal, and another 1 for the synergy. So I'll come out of here with an extra 4. I'll have a total of 9 after this fight, and I will use some of them. So I take this to the blocks. I just don't want to mistime it. I'm like, it doesn't really matter. I'm about to get to my special 2 and do a bunch of damage. And it doesn't crit, but still, he's ticking down. I got that degen because the armor break was on. And he is hitting harder because every debuff gives him extra damage on this node. And at this point, he is all but dead. So now we have Kitty on Ebb and Flow Intercept Mighty Charge. And I don't use a White Nito pre-fight here. Or maybe, do I do it for the damage? I'm not sure, but I usually don't because I need to bait her heavy anyways. I don't want to parry her. It looks like I do because I have the tracking debuff on, and I see the other guidance for the White Nito, so it's probably just for damage. So the plan here is to basically, yeah, I had heal block on, so I switch over to tracking, and I'm just going to basically beta heavy and clear those 4 prowess now because she's phasing. So I'm like, okay, beat her block and see if I can beta heavy. Perfect. Now she's at 1 bar of power. I take this, and now the fight actually starts. So I'm gonna try for intercept. No. And I get one right here. Perfect. Place the tracking. And I'm like, all right, let's go. And she's at 3 prowess. So you can see that when I have my Fury up, I just do an insane amount of damage with Omega Sentinel. So I'm like, all right, I'm not going to my SB2s or SB3 cycle with her here because she'll clear it with a Mighty Charge. This is why Tech Doom would have been so much better, because I would have just rinsed her. She wouldn't have gained any prowess, and it just would have been a whole lot easier. I don't need that DOT. The SB2 power burn will just totally rinse Kitty, but I get some intercepts, and she's down either way. And next up, I'm cleaning up a Rintra. We had a torch sent here, and the fight went kind of sideways, and they ended up dying, unfortunately. So I think that was that last war. Oh no, that was the previous war. I'm actually taking this completely. So Yeah, so I was like, I saw my science boost. So yeah, in this war, I'm assigned him, and the plan is to basically keep him out of his corner, especially my corner, keep his charges down, and I go to SB1 boost just so I can get to my my SB2 faster, and basically just get an intercept when I can. I get one there, and I'm like, all right, perfect. I have 3 kinetic charges, so I'm like, throw my SB2. I only had 3 charges, so I'm like, all right. I want him to throw this, and he does, and I'm gonna block it. I have willpower from armor, from that armor break. You have glancing. I'm not gonna take any chances that I don't need to. I can dex the SB2 just fine. I'm just not gonna do anything that I don't need to do. So here, he take all of this into the block to build my kinetic charges, and he didn't go for that intercept. And I'm like, but he parries me now. So at this point, I'm like, man. I get that intercept, and I'm like, you know what? Throw my special 3, and let's get some damage down on this cow, and kind of work from there. And it's a good chunk of damage, you see. That fury up, my special 3 and kinetic charges. So here, I'm like, okay, I need him to throw his special 2. I like getting that dex so he can no longer get that power gain off of a buff failed. And take that into block. I'm still doing good on health. And of course, I miss a parry. And I'm like, okay, reset. Knock him down to get his charges down. And knock him down again. And there's 3.5 minutes left. So at this point, I'm like, okay. He's at 4 charges. I need to... I'm trying to create spacing here. So that's why I throw this, actually. And I wanted to see how much damage it does with a protection up. Not really ideal. So I'm like, okay, let's pop out of this and kind of like reset. I need to get his power low enough to where I can intercept. And now I'm like, okay, these heavies are doing some work, but ultimately not enough. And I go for an intercept there, don't get it. And I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to build up to a special 2 and just throw that with the protection up, because now there's 2 minutes left and he's at 17%. So I want to bait out one more special 1. Perfect. I even get a petrify on him right there. And I throw that and he's stunned. And I'm like, okay, 11% and 2 minutes left. I'm not even going to try an intercept at this point. Just kind of kill him at this point. Would be whatever's safer. And he is slowly chipping away. So he's at 7%, 5%, and I'm like, okay. 3%, I'm like, is this cow? Should I bait this SB? Nope, just kill him. Unfortunately, we lost this war. Shout out to Legacy, Cardi, Mark, and Trevor as our MVPs. And that is War 10 for y'all. See you in the next one.